Back to our channel. Today we are going to start pulmonary circulation. So pulmonary circulation is chapter 57 from our guidance. So pulmonary circulation, it's between the right and left heart. That is smaller air pressure systemic circulation. That is low pressure circulation is pulmonary circulation, whereas high pressure circulation is our systemic circulation. So it is between the left and right hearts, that is our systemic circulation. So we know already these two types of circulation, systemic circulation and pulmonary circulation. Pulmonary circulation is mainly between right heart and left heart, whereas systemic circulation is between left and right heart. So large air, or you can say large pressure circulation, it need to produce all over the body, whereas in the case of pulmonary circulation, it need to produce it need to give the blood only to the lungs, whereas here in the systemic circulation it need to provide to all body parts, so it's high pressure circulation. So once again, let us revise the pressures in right heart and left heart. So mainly let us start from left atrium. In the left atrium, the pressure is like 2 to 8 millimeters of mercury, whereas in the left ventricle it's 120, and in aorta it's 120 systole and diastole is 8. So the mean arterial pressure in the systemic circulation is 93 millimeters of mercury, whereas now let us move on to capillaries. The capillary pressure is 20, and the right atrium, coming to right atrium, is 0 to 2, and the right ventricle, it's 25. By 0 means here 25 is systolic and 0 is diastolic, whereas coming to the pulmonary valve, which has 25 divided by 8, that is systolic and diastolic. And coming to pulmonary capillaries, the pressure is 7 millimeters of mercury. So you can compare and contrast. In systemic circulation, capillary pressure is 20, whereas capillary pressure in pulmonary circulation is 7 millimeters of mercury. Whereas next, coming to the pulmonary average pressure, or you can say the mean arterial pressure, is 15 millimeters of mercury, whereas there it is 93 millimeters of mercury. So the flow of cardiac output, it's total 5 liter. It is same in both either right or left hearts. The velocity of blood increases in pulmonary when compared with systemic. So remember, the blood flow in pulmonary with higher velocity when compared with systemic circulation. So the systemic circulation is thick walled, and resistance is high, and also pressures are very high, whereas coming to pulmonary side, they are like thinner walled and they have low resistance, so even low pressure. So now let us see, if the pulmonary, you can see, if pulmonary would be a high pressure system, alveoli are thin walled, so they become edematous, so it should be low. Actually, pulmonary circulation, if it is high pressure, lot of interstitial fluid may accumulate. In turn, this interstitial fluid may also leak out into alveoli, because alveoli are very thin walled. So that is the problem. Hence, the pulmonary circulation is a low pressure circulation. Now let us see what are the main functions of pulmonary circulation. The first one, we know gas exchange. Gas exchange at the site of alveoli. And next one is reservoir for the blood. As I said, they are thin walled and they can store a lot of blood, so they have more capacitance for the storage of blood. And next, metabolic function. The main metabolic function of pulmonary circulation is conversion of angiotensin 1 into angiotensin 2 by means of ACE, that is angiotensin converting enzyme, which is present. So this is one of the important metabolic function. And the fourth function is to filter the waste, so mainly to filter the gases. So out of 5 liters of blood, 500 ml is in the pulmonary circulation and 70 ml is in the capillary. So this is very important. The cardiac output is 5 liters. So out of that 5 liters, 500 ml only goes to the pulmonary circulation, and the remaining 70 ml is present in the capillaries. So angiotensin converting enzyme converts angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2. Angiotensin 2 is a vasoconstrictor. So this angiotensin converting enzyme, where it is present, mainly it is present in the endothelial cells of the alveoli. This is very important. You may get this bit, that ACE, that is angiotensin converting enzyme, present on the endothelial cells of alveoli, and this break down the bradykinin, which is also vasodilator, mainly by acting as a bradykinase. So remember, this ACE inhibitor also converts the bradykinin into into proper bradykinin, break down the bradykinin mainly by enzyme called as bradykinase. Next, sometimes the clots or thrombi or emboli in our systemic circulation. So the clots, thrombi or emboli, which are present in the systemic circulation, may also reach the pulmonary capillaries and endothelial cells, and can filter them and eliminate by protecting the systemic system. So what they mean to say, as we see here, the filter is a function of pulmonary circulation. So mainly it filters this emboli, clots, thrombi, which are coming from the systemic circulation into the pulmonary capillaries, and mainly which can filter the endothelial cells can filter them and eliminate by protecting the systemic system. So if sometimes instead of thrombi or clots, cancer cells enter, then they may also cause cancer in lungs or secondary stage of metastasis occur there. So sometimes instead of these clots, directly if the cancer only travels, then it may also cause the secondary state of metastasis. And sometimes the pulmonary veins may have oxygen of partial pressure from like 100 to 38. So the pulmonary system have mainly two types of arteries. One is pulmonary artery and the other is a bronchial artery. The pulmonary artery which is coming mainly from the right heart, whereas the bronchial artery which is coming from the left heart of the aorta. So from the aorta there is a branch of bronchial artery which is also supplying the pulmonary system. So the deoxygenated blood from the bronchial system, they drain into the pulmonary vein, but it has oxygen in it. So remember that bronchial artery, as it is an artery, it is having oxygenated blood. It actually drains into the pulmonary vein, but pulmonary vein is having deoxygenated blood. Sorry, pulmonary vein is having oxygenated blood after the alveolar exchange, but the bronchial artery is bringing some of the deoxygenated blood. So there is a mixed blood now. So due to this bronchial system, the oxygen in the pulmonary vein is somewhat decreased, and in systemic circulation the partial pressure decreases from 100 to 38 or so. So this is very important. The bronchial, it's namely artery, but it is bringing deoxygenated blood and draining into the vein. So because of this, the problem is the pulmonary vein just now undergone the gaseous exchange in the alveoli, but it is now getting the bronchial arteries deoxygenated blood, and some of the pulmonary vein also now get deoxygenated because of this bronchial artery. So next, coming to coronary arteries, these are deoxygenated blood is drained into the left ventricle mainly by Thebacean vein, and they also mix with the oxygen blood and decrease the pressure of oxygen in it. So remember, mainly two arteries, the bronchial artery and the Thebacean veins, which are coming from the coronary arteries. These are bringing the deoxygenated blood into the pulmonary vein. So now the pulmonary vein actually has the oxygenated blood because of the gaseous exchange which has done just now. So because of this, there is mixed blood in a pulmonary vein because of the bronchial artery and especially the Thebacean vein from the coronary artery. So these bronchial and Thebacean are physiological shunts. They are called as physiological shunts, which are bringing directly the deoxygenated blood into the oxygenated blood, hence the name physiological shunts. Next, let us see what is vasa vasorum. So in fetus, at some point, the deoxygenated blood may also mix with oxygenated blood, that is at the foramen ovale and the ductus arteriosus. So the foramen ovale and ductus arteriosus, if you already studied embryology and also fetal circulation before in our circulatory, cardiac physiology, you may know that foramen ovale is present in between the right atrium and left atrium. So because of that, oxygenated and deoxygenated blood mix. And ductus arteriosus, in the fetus the lungs are not working, so directly from the pulmonary artery, not pulmonary artery, directly from the left ventricle the blood goes into aorta. From aorta it directly goes into ductus arteriosus. We know that even from pulmonary artery, we will see it here, right? Normal vessels have low oxygen, they dilate, but the pulmonary vessels constrict. This is very important feature. About ductus arteriosus, I will say that it is present connection between aorta. Yeah, the blood is coming from the right ventricle to the pulmonary artery, but now pulmonary artery should go to lungs, but it can't go because it is lungs are not functioning now. So from there directly the blood flows into the ductus arteriosus into the aorta. So there the ductus arteriosus works. And one more important thing, when our oxygen is decreased, means in hypoxic conditions, normally our systemic circulation side blood vessels dilate. Why they dilate? Because as oxygen is low, now they can increase the blood flow so that the oxygen will be available to the tissues. But in the case of pulmonary vessels, they constrict. So this is reverse in case of systemic circulation. So the fact is why pulmonary vessels constrict and the blood from the right heart can't enter the lungs. So it enters the foramen ovale. That is a physiological shunt in a fetus. And if some blood enters the pulmonary arteries, from there they go to the ductus arteriosus and reach the systemic circulation, because lungs only take 15% of blood. This is also physiological shunt. So even this is the reason, as we already discussed. And next, pulmonary circulation is thin walled and more compliant than systemic thick walled circulation. Resistance is more in pulmonary circulation, hence they are low. pressure flow, and resistance is low in systemic circulation. Remember that higher resistance means higher pressure, whereas resistance is low in systemic circulation. So always you can see resistance is inversely proportional to the pressure. So resistance is directly proportional to pressure, and resistance is inversely proportional to the flow. So if there is more resistance, then there is more pressure. So that's why here the pressure flow is high. So if low resistance means low pressure, but resistance is inversely proportional to flow. If the resistance is high, then the blood flow will be low. If the resistance is low, then the blood flow will be high. Already we discussed all this in our cardiac physiology. So now you can see here the pressure by flow in the pulmonary circulation is 91 by divided by 5 liter. So here the RS increases, whereas P by F in systemic circulation is 10 by 5. That is RP decreases, means resistance in systemic circulation is more, resistance in pulmonary circulation is low. Actually this is correct. I think this is wrong here. In pulmonary circulation resistance is low, in systemic circulation resistance is high. That is the reason why pulmonary circulation is called low pressure circulation, whereas systemic circulation is called high pressure circulation. So RS minus RP means resistance of systemic circulation minus resistance of pulmonary circulation gives a 10 times difference. You can see here, if you calculate this you can get the volumes. They are like 10 times different. So mean pressure minus mean arterial pressure is equal to 93 minus 2. Mean arterial pressure is 93, arteriolar pressure is 2, minus 2 get the 91, and mean pressure minus arterial pressure, that is in pulmonary side, mean arterial pressure is 15 minus arterial pressure is 5, so you get 10. So like this we have calculated. So let us check out the pulmonary vascular resistance. So mainly during exercise, heavy work, the cardiac output increases. So it should be reduced. It should reduce the resistance, right? Because cardiac output has increased means low resistance. So when I have low resistance, then only the blood flow can go smoothly to other parts of the body. So in resting person, few pulmonary channels are not working and few are in just steady movement. And whenever there is high cardiac output, these unfunctional vessels start working, and it is called capillary recruitment, that is decrease the resistance and capillary distension. So decrease the pulmonary vascular resistance, so less stress on the right ventricle. So actually what mean to say is, whenever cardiac output increases, so when cardiac output increases, if the resistance is very high, then it will be very hard for the right heart to pump. It may undergo hypertrophy, and also it is very hard to the blood to the pass by the pulmonary vessels. So now what the pulmonary vessels do is they decrease the resistance. So whenever there is higher cardiac output, as the pulmonary vessels decrease the resistance, it is very easy for the blood to flow, because they also have another mechanism, that is recruitment. Recruitment means, for example, this is right lung, blood is coming, right heart, blood is coming from here. So these are the capillaries. They try to bring more new capillaries so that blood may go easily through it, and also they dilate them. Whenever they're dilated, they can easily go. So this is absolutely reverse in the case of systemic circulation. In systemic circulation, when our cardiac output increases, actually the resistance also increases and the pressure of the circulation also increases, we know this. So it is reversed to the pulmonary circulation. So why, you may get the doubt, like why it is reversed? Because in pulmonary circulation, if the resistance increases, then the pressure increases and it may lead to pulmonary edema. So you may think always whenever the cardiac output may increase, by the time if this is true, if we may always get the pulmonary edema whenever our cardiac output is high. But it is not true. That is the reason why the resistance is decreased, so that it prevents the pulmonary edema whenever the cardiac output is very high in the case of lungs. So if the lung volume changes, then what about resistance? So lung volume decreases, then resistance increases. When lung volume increases, then resistance increases. So here you can see the volume is directly proportional to the resistance in the case of lung. So the vessels which are surrounded by alveoli are called as alveolar vessels, which mainly depend on the alveolar pressure. Vessels which are not surrounded by alveoli are extra-alveolar vessels. So mainly we have, for example, this is alveoli, right? This is alveoli. Here the vessels which are present near to them, they are called as alveolar vessels. And somewhat this vessel only next goes into other part, there no alveoli, then they are called as extra-alveolar vessels, which mainly depends on the lung pressure. So if the vessel is near alveoli, then it depends on the alveolar pressure. If the vessel is far away from alveoli, then it depends on the lung pressure. So mainly on the intrapleural pressure. You know, intrapleural pressure is always negative, so it depends on that intrapleural pressure. So as the lung volume increase, alveoli compress. Now you can understand. Here the lung volume may increase, then the alveoli compress, then even these vessels near them may also compress, like extra alveolar pressure open, then peripheral vascular resistance also increases. So now you can understand, if these vessels are like compressed or contracted, then these vessels may be affected because they are dependent mainly on the alveolar pressure. So both are set in series. If lung volume is decreased, then extra alveolar become narrow. So whenever the lung volume is decreased, when our alveoli are contracted, they become small. So when they become small, the elastic tissue around them, they keep them wide open. Whereas when the alveolar are decrease the volume, then they become narrow, that is resistance is increased. So if the resistance is increased, the vessels may become more narrow. So no oxygen tension in pulmonary vascular resistance, partial pressure of oxygen. So actually here we are talking about extra-alveolar vessels, not about these vessels. If these vessels are directly proportional to alveoli, if the alveoli become very big, they may compress them. If alveoli become very small, then they become more wide open. But these extra-alveolar vessels which are away from the alveoli, they are like inversely proportional. You can see if the lung volume is increased and alveoli are compressed, means extra volume vessels open. As they are compressed here, they will open now. But when the lung volume is decreased, extra alveolar vessels become narrow, because intrapleural pressure is like the elastic tissues which is present around the lungs which try to open them. Whenever the lung volume is increased, they try to wide open them because of the elasticity. But whenever the lung volume is low, lung always try to move towards inward. So because of this, the extra alveolar vessels may become narrow. Hypoxia in arm, blood vessels in arm dilate in systemic circulation. In systemic circulation, whenever in your arm vessels they have low oxygen, that is hypoxemia, they try to dilate to produce more blood flow. But in respiratory system, whenever there is low oxygen and high carbon dioxide, especially in alveoli, if there is less oxygen, then the blood passing through it decreases and increase the resistance. So this is a reverse process. Always remember, in systemic circulation, whenever there is low oxygen, then the blood vessels dilate. But in pulmonary circulation, if there is low oxygen, the blood vessels constrict here. Means they increase the resistance and the blood should move to better oxygenated alveoli. So the reason here behind is, for example, this is a alveoli. So if the hypoxia, the oxygen is very low, then this vessel get very narrow. So because of that, the other vessel may go to other place where there is more oxygen. So this is the mechanism behind the pulmonary circulation. So next, there are special potassium channels which are oxygen sensitive in smooth muscle wall. So whenever there is higher oxygen, then the potassium channel remain open and they move outside the cell, then the RMP will be more negative. Whenever potassium goes out of the cell, the resting membrane potential becomes more negative because the positive ion is going out of the cell. So if the oxygen is low, then the potassium channels close and the potassium retain in the RMP and become less negative, means it is moving towards more threshold, and the calcium channels also now open because of this potassium has gone through threshold and the smooth muscles contract. So remember, whenever there is hypoxia, smooth muscles contract. So when oxygen is low, it often more resistance and muscles contract and expel the blood towards more oxygen alveoli. So whenever there is low oxygen, the contraction takes place and the blood vessels try to contract towards the alveoli which are having more oxygen in it. So due to pneumonia or any constriction, the muscles contract and deviate the blood flow. So remember, any disease, especially pneumonia or any constriction, the muscle contract and deviate the blood flow. So in high altitude, the oxygen is low, alveolar oxygen is low. So in all alveoli, then there is generalized constriction. So you can understand, in hypoxia, as oxygen is very low, in especially in higher altitudes, then all their vessels in the bronchial, in lungs get constricted, and it may also occur in COPD, like congestive obstructive pulmonary disease like asthma. Most of the alveoli oxygen is low, so blood vasculature constrict. Everywhere it's hard for the right heart for pumping or hypertrophy or pulmonary hypertension. We can understand now. As the resistance is very high now for the heart. It is especially for the right heart, it is very hard to pump against this resistant high resistant vessels. So right heart hypertrophy or failure when there is core pulmonary. So core pulmonary condition is nothing but it says that whenever there is any problem in lung, especially like pulmonary hypertension, so because of that the right ventricle is going hypertrophy, then it is called as core pulmonary, means because of pulmonary disease heart is also failing here. So in fetus, oxygen is low, especially pulmonary vasculature constrict. So that is why you can also get a proof now. In fetus, we are saying lungs are not working. Why lungs are not working? Because low oxygen. Because of low oxygen, all the vessels get constricted there and they are not working. So potassium channel close, smooth muscles continue. So blood shunt through the foramen ovale and ductus arteriosus before the birth. So after the birth, oxygen is increased, potassium channel open. So mainly remember, when oxygen is high, then only potassium channel open. If the oxygen is low, potassium channel don't open. So when the potassium channels open, smooth muscle relax and pulmonary vasculature dilate. So remember, when the pulmonary vasculature dilate, when the smooth muscle relax, then only the vessels dilate, resistance decreases, foramen ovale ductus arteriosus close, and the normal pattern of circulation again start developing. So this is the main reason why. Always remember, systemic circulation and pulmonary circulation are inversely proportional in the case of constriction and dilation. Very important concept. So we know in systemic circulation vessels constrict whenever there is uh, no like higher oxygen, but whenever there is low oxygen vessels dilate. But in pulmonary circulation, whenever there is low oxygen vessels constrict, but whenever there is high oxygen vessels dilate. It is reverse of systemic circulation. We have seen all the reasons also. Now let us see the blood flow distribution in lungs. So you can see the gravity will favor the blood flow to the base and oppose towards the apex from the pulmonary arteries. So always the blood flow increases towards the base, because if you're standing, especially the blood, because of gravity it goes to the lower side. So pressure in alveoli is very high than the pressure in the pulmonary artery. So actually we have three zones. This is zone 1, next is zone 2, zone 3. Like from upper to lower, that is from the apex to the base of the lung, we are divided into three zones. So in the first zone, especially the pressure in the alveoli is very high than the pressure in the pulmonary artery. So you can understand, if the pressure in alveoli is very high than pulmonary artery, then at the apex of lung blood flow is low. So here, as the pressure is very high in the alveoli, then the pulmonary artery, means the pulmonary artery will completely close here, because alveolar pressure is very high. So alveolar pressure is very high, then the arterial pressure greater than the pulmonary vein. So the apex of the lung, the blood flow is low, then the area is, so it's a zone 1. Next, coming to the blood flow through the middle area fluctuates due to systole and diastole. So according to the systole and diastole, that is according to cardiac cycle, here the blood flow is also like intermittent blood flow. In during systole, arterial pressure is very high, we know, then when compared with aortic pressure, means alveolar pressure. So what happens there here, whereas at the diastole, again alveolar pressure will become very high, so again the blood flow will stop. So this is like intermittent zone, and this is called as middle zone, zone 2. Whereas coming to the downward area, here the gravity favors, so it has best perfusion, means more blood flow. So always here, of course, the arterial pressure will be greater than the vein pressure, will be greater than the alveolar pressure. So mainly here, to remember this, you should observe the three positions of alveolar pressures. In the zone 1, alveolar pressure is dominant. In the zone 2, alveolar pressure come to middle. In the zone 3, alveolar pressure come to the last. So during both systole and diastole, the same, that is arterial pressure is always greater than the alveolar pressure in the case of our zone 3, that is in the base. So in the base the pressure is high, the blood flow is very high, so blood flow continues in systole and diastole, that is zone 3. So always remember, zone 3 has higher perfusion rate when compared with the zone 1 and zone 2. Even zone 2 is better, but zone 1 you can see it's completely not having any blood flow. So during exercise, especially cardiac output increases, resistance decreases, so more channels open, and even the apex are apex are apex are So actually in exercise, even the apex get more blood flow when compared with all other zones. Means all other zones get more blood flow, may rearrange themselves. As we already discussed, whenever there is higher cardiac output, what happens in the case of our pulmonary circulation, they try to increase more number, they recruit the more vessels, so that they dilate them, so that they can increase more blood flow. So if we try to blow more air out of a pressure increase more in alveoli, and again zones may differ. So in hemorrhage, cardiac output decrease, pressure decrease, alveolar sac compress, and zone 2 to zone 1. Like only zone 2 and zone 1 will be working now because of hemorrhage, lot of blood loss. So whenever there is low blood, then again here also of course towards gravity side only blood moves. Alveolar sac is compressed here because of low blood flow. And positive pressure ventilation, blood vessels compress, and zone 1 may be continuous, right ventricle too much pressure or failure in the case of positive pressure ventilation. And during respiratory cycle also they vary. During inspiration blood flow increases, systole and inspiration coincide, then extra alveolar vessels may also open sometimes, and the best flow will be there. In lying down position gravity may not affect, so this is very important. When you are lying down, this gravity may not affect in these three zones. So we'll next continue this fluid exchange in next part.